This is the Rugby Muscle Podcast, talking all that you need to become the best rugby player you can be. Now here are the Rugby Muscle coaches, TJ and Alex.
Ready to bump some heads? Alex, you ready to bump some heads?
I was born ready.
Yeah, good man. Rugby Muscle Podcast, we're back with another short edition. Timer's going to get ready to go on. Before we get onto the timer, Alex, fact of the week.
Oh man, you know what? I woke up and I was thinking about this. I've totally lost it.
First thought was like, shit. What's my fact of the week for the Rugby Muscle Podcast?
That really, well, it wasn't my absolute first thought, but it was up there.
Go on then.
Okay. Okay. So you know when you're asleep, you did you arrange your bed so your head's towards the side of the room where the door isn't?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, humans have evolved to find out the most comfortable way of sleeping, so they're like as far away from predators and shit as they can be.
Right.
There you go.
So that what? So if someone comes and attacks me, my head's the furthest away, so they're less like they can take my foot, but they can't take my head.
Yeah, it's like Freedom and Braveheart.
All right, decent.
Yeah, that's off the top of my head there.
Oh bollocks! I was supposed to play the interesting fact thing.
Fuck it, you can add it in later.
I'm not going to add anything in later. That would go against what this podcast is about.
Wow, that's an interesting fact.
Boom.
That guy sounds so like shitty. I hate that guy.
Why?
He just sounds really condescending.
No, it's an interesting fact.
Oh. Anyway, let's go on.
So let's get into the podcast. Today I'm going to scroll up and remind myself of what our topic was for today.
Do you want to remind me why you're a little bit forgetful, mate?
Yes, I was in my second game back on the rugby pitch and I came away with concussion. We're not going to do the whole podcast on concussion because it seems to be getting a lot of press at the moment in a bad light. I'll take it for what it is. I got smashed a few times, came off the pitch. It was like I only got checked after the game had finished because I was like, hold on, my head feels a bit dodgy. Went to the doctor. They did you know when you've got a mobile phone and you can put the flash on as a torch?
I don't have a mobile phone.
Well, normal people do know this, and they used the flash on the back of the phone as a torch, as the light for my eyes to try and follow.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like a camera trying to focus. It just wasn't going right. And she's like, yeah, you are concussed. So,
no, that's not good.
Yeah, I've been sat at home. This is my first day. This is like 4 days after the fact, and this is my first day I've been able to look at the computer screen for an extended period of time. So I thought, well, I better get on the Rugby Muscle Podcast.
I'm glad. I'm all up for this. All on time and everything today-ish. More on time than usual.
And you sound pretty fresh as well.
Yeah, it's a new microphone, mate. I'm all professional now.
Yeah, this is what we value, or this is how much value we put in for you listeners, because Alex has gone out and he's actually bought a microphone. We are investing in the podcast because you guys are investing in us. So thank you for listening. Like, actually, real talk. Like, thank you everyone for listening, because we are trying to help you guys out, but it does make a difference to more people listen. If you can go and give us a review on iTunes, boom, that helps so much. It takes like less than a minute to do. Just 5 stars. You don't even have to say anything. If you want to say something like TJ's a bit of an idiot or whatever, or Alex sounds like shit, but now he's going to sound a bit better, comment on that. Do say something and give us a review. It does help us loads for such a little interaction.
True that.
Now, moving on, I'm going to start the timer. Today's topic is avoiding shoulder injuries.
Oh, safe. I didn't know we were doing that.
On Alex, you're going to take the lead because, yeah.
Your head hurt a little bit, mate.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we look at rugby, like biggest injuries in rugby, like people's shoulders get cut all the time. In fact, I was watching a match last night and someone's shoulder went out in the first, 2 minutes.
What match was that?
It's actually a high school match in America. I was watching the Mrs. Kid play.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they played well actually. They lost 15-10, but there's some good rugby going on considering it was like a high school match.
Live?
Yeah, man.
No, YouTube or live? Was it streaming?
Yeah, streamed live.
Nice.
I know, right? Yeah, mate. These American people, they've got some good facilities. Really nice facilities.
Americans know how to promote sports.
Yeah, they're doing a good job. Yeah. Anyway, so your shoulders is pretty badly designed. Like, it's great for movement, but it's not great under impact.
I like the analogy we've come up with, or you've come up with. I'm going to take all of the credit though. It's like trying to balance a tennis ball on a saucer.
Yeah, it's and everything holding it says the muscle and the connective tissue, which isn't really that strong, like under load.
For what impact goes through it.
Yeah. And then we've got to look at how tackles are done as well.
Yeah.
So I think Ferentinos, is that how you say his name?
Oh, yeah, whatever.
However you say his name. He mentioned this the other day on something or other. But
is this him blaming his lifetime of not being a decent rugby player due to shoulder injury, even though... Oh, let's not get into that. Come on. Talk to me about shoulder
Mate, I've not played against him, I don't know. Against where we're tackling, if you look at people, they're tackling on the shoulder joint, then they're putting their arm in like a really compromised position.
Yeah. So
the traditional way of tackling is just kind of really awkward on your shoulder.
Definitely. I've done it before, especially if you're trying to line up a massive hit. I think we've all done that before, where we've lined up a huge hit, or maybe we would have, against, you always want to line up a big dude to do it against as well.
You mean a little
put in
bit,
a
right?
crunching hit, but you've got to stand up and pretend like it didn't really hurt your shoulder, but you know it fucking did.
That's what Jerry Collins used to say, didn't he? He used to say, he'd put in these big hits, but it'd hurt him just as much as it'd hurt the other guy. So... But yeah, it's a true story. They hurt. Mate, you're doing it all wrong though. Always target the smallest guy. Always target the smallest guy.
Because they can step and stuff. If you line up the big guy, he ain't gonna move. So you just can smash him as hard as you can, full force.
Yeah. So when you're hitting that guy full force, that is a lot of effort, a lot of strain on that joint, which isn't strong anyway. So if we start looking at how we can fix it up, or at least get hurt less often.
Yeah.
Doing his tackle.
And have that that impact cost us less in the long term.
Yeah, man. If you look at a lot of old rugby players, they're pretty beat up. I don't think I know anyone who plays rugby over 35 who's not carrying an injury.
No, I know a lot of people that have had to retire as well with shoulder injuries, a lot of time it's shoulder injuries more than anything else actually.
Yeah, shoulders and knees, eh?
Yeah.
Anyway, so the big thing for me is one, fix his tackle technique, which we'll leave to another day possibly. And I'm not a skills coach. And then the next bit for me is building up muscle in that area. So we've got a ton of different ways of building up muscle. We know a steady increase in volume is going to build up muscle there, but we've got to look at where the muscle's been built up as well.
Yeah, this is huge because a lot of people will be like, oh, I need to build up my shoulders because I get getting rotator cuff injuries or whatever. And they just do loads of side lateral raises or loads of just direct delt work. And you've got to realise that the delts, it lies on top of your shoulder, but that's not the thing that's really holding your shoulders together.
No. So we're looking at more I guess you could say a holistic approach. In that we're not just focusing on one part, we've got to kind of build up muscle in that 360 area around it. Yeah,
I love that. I don't think anyone ever listened to the Rugby Muscle podcast has ever thought, oh yeah, these guys are definitely holistic coaches.
What's that stuff you put the water in? It's just plain water.
Yeah.
A little bit, whatever that's called, I can't remember what it's called.
Diet. Let's make it up.
It's not about any shit.
Body. No, we're not about detoxing. We're about a holistic approach to rehabbing your shoulders. This is the only probably holistic approach we're going to take. So
probably. Anyway, so we're not talking about. So if you look at, I'm a good example. It says my anterior delt is much bigger than my posterior delt. Because I spend a lot of time overhead pressing.
Yeah. So anterior is the front part, so the one that you can see in the mirror. Posterior is behind that you can't see. That's often why most people's anterior delta is going to be much bigger than their posterior.
Yeah, man, because pressing's fun.
Yeah.
Essentially. And what that does, it kind of pulls your shoulder into weird positions. I'll say weird, it's not that weird, but it's just...
It's a forward sort of hunch.
Yeah, more compromised position. Mm-hmm. And when you're in that position, again, you're almost internally rotated in the shoulder, so your shoulder's kind of twisted over forward. Yeah. And that's a really awkward position. And so if you do any jiu-jitsu, did you ever carry on your jiu-jitsu?
No.
But you're doing jiu-jitsu, like when someone's putting you in like a shoulder lock, they're putting you into that like internally rotated position. Mm-hmm. Not somewhere you want to be, I'll be honest.
No, definitely not. So, how do we go about reversing that? Because a lot of people will come into this and listen to this podcast already having that issue, like to begin with. Ideally, you'd start with you'd have a better full body approach. Make sure you hit some rear delt work from the start of your training. So you younger guys listening, make sure you do that. But a lot of people make the mistake that I've made, I'm pretty sure you've made as well. You just begin your first couple of years of training, you're training only the mirror muscles. You're not really doing much back work, let alone rear delt work. So I've sort of given a hint as to how we can help that, but how can we really help it, Alex?
No, you're talking about my I squatted from the beginning. So I like tons of
remember your
work.
squats when we were at uni.
Yeah, terrible.
So don't lie to the people. I remember you squatting and it wasn't even like 20 degrees.
Yeah, that's true. Powerful though. Good jump.
Yeah, a lot of weight, but anyway.
Yeah. So we're looking at tons of pulling stuff. Someone's been to how do I say this? Support your shoulder from the front and the back. Okay. On top of that, I like to have like some mobility in the muscles around it. So you see, on top of having this anterior dominance, so the front of the shoulder being much stronger than the back of the shoulder, we see that pec major, pec minor cross over the shoulder joints.
Yeah.
Onto the humerus. Is that right? Yeah. Pulls down to, if that's tight. So that's the house phone going there. If that's tight, you can't have as much range of motion. So if we can make sure that's flexible in the chest, you're going to be in a much better position anyway.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Mm-hmm. So you're working on your mobility as well as your strength all around.
Yeah.
So looking at strength all around, what are a couple of exercises that we could potentially do? And name two, and then I'll name a third that you didn't.
Say two and then I like a seated row.
Yep.
And probably pull up.
Yep. Nice. And then I'm going to go with the face pull.
Oh, nice. Love face pulls.
Either with a band, but I like it better with cables because then the tension is better. Because I think as you're getting closer, it's still you can make it too hard if you use a band. So I like.
Yeah, at the hardest part, it's harder with a band.
Yeah, but the little story about the cables. Yeah, the cable face pull is concussion coming back. I remember when I was at uni and I trained a guy before. This is before I got all of my certifications and picked up all of my knowledge, but I just figured it sounded right. He had a shoulder that would always pop out. It'd pop out at least once or twice every term. So 3 or 4 times a season as a rugby player, and his shoulder would just constantly pop out, and there was nothing he could. He thought there was nothing he could do about it, and he used to go to the gym and do your normal body part stuff. And I said, look, listen, mate, let's try and add in face pulls twice a week. Just add into your current program. Make sure you train back a little bit more. But overall, the real difference was we were adding in face pulls 2 or 3 times a week on top of that, and his shoulder didn't pop out for the 2 seasons that we did that we made sure that he was doing face pulls in his warm-up and as part of his routine every single time. So there's something to be said there for sure.
Cool.
And he he also was thinking about it it's nothing that I had definitely looked up or anything. It was just an instinctive thing. I was like, hold on, your shoulders are rolling forward. They're dislocating because they're weak. They haven't got a supportive tissue around them. Let's try and build up your rear delts and your traps with some big, not some big, but just some face pulls, and it seemed to have worked really well.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think we need to be concerned a little bit about too much trap work and upper back work, and that brings us back to our scapular retraction we looked at the other day.
Yeah.
just to be put into that hunch, that kind of hunch that your extra trap work does can put you forward as well. But I mean, if you're doing tons and tons of back work anyway, or rear delt work, it's not too big a deal. Not too much of a worry.
Definitely not. Yeah. And this is a guy that, you know, he wouldn't add in a ton of trap work on top of that at all. So, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
It worked out really well for him, to be fair. And I'm pretty sure he's gone back into his old ways and dislocates the shoulder. I need to catch up with him, actually. But anyway, so now we've got catch up with him, see if he's hey mate, shoulder dislocated anytime recently? tut. Anyway, so let's now talk through some mobility work that we can do for the shoulders, because the more mobile we can have our shoulders, the less compromised that they are when they're in these positions. So if we can have like more mobility through the whole joint, that's going to be much better for us as rugby players.
Yeah, mobility and control as well.
Yeah,
control for that range of motion.
Ooh, which is I'll go on for my mobility exercise first. Is those overhead taps or dislocations and stuff. Now people like these a lot, but I've actually changed my stance on them. So what you would do, it's on our YouTube channel, or my YouTube channel now, TJ Strength. You'll look at this how to avoid shoulder injuries, and you basically take a band or a broomstick and you'll keep your arms straight and you'll tap the front of your body and then keep them straight, go all the way over your head and round and touch the back of your body, and then go back forward, and you repeat as many times as you need to. Around 20 odd reps will be good. But what I've changed is, rather than having to tap the back from behind your head, you just reach as far as you can before your shoulders dislocate, because you don't really want to be teaching your shoulders to dislocate. You want to try and have as much range of motion in the control part of the movement as you can without having the shoulders feel like they're dislocating, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so what we're talking about is that exercise called shoulder dislocation, yeah?
Yeah.
And but we're saying, don't let you know that feeling you get when your shoulders kind of roll real fast.
There's a sticking point in the
avoid
movement where your shoulders will loosen and then they'll go really fast down and you can touch the back.
Yeah.
Before that sticking point, just hold that as far as you can and don't get to the sticking point, because you don't want to be teaching your shoulders to completely go out like that.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. On top of that, we see when people do that, and I see it a ton because I quite like this drill as well. You see people flare their ribs up to get that little bit of extra range of motion.
Yeah.
But that means they're losing that ab brace, which we need to teach the whole time, you know. So you got to watch out for that as well.
Yeah, this is a difficult podcast to talk about. Like, we're talking through quite a few drills. So if you're following us on Instagram at tj.strength and at collision and combat, you'll be able to see it a little bit more in detail with our videos and pictures and stuff. It's somewhat difficult to explain over audio, but do that another time. We'll keep explaining more movements.
Yeah, safe. I might join in there. I quite like the hurricanes. So fairly similar to your shoulder dislocations, but almost one side at a time.
Yeah.
And I quite like. Did you see? Oh, I'm sorry. I'll put this on Instagram. A band scapular traction drill. It's like a 5-point scapular traction drill with an overhead press. Mm-hmm. I'll put it on Instagram. But that's a really solid one. I like. I like one a lot. Yeah. Especially for front row players. I think it's pretty important. As front row players, we get real tight on one side. So a loose head tends to have like a real tight bound up right side, and tight head will have real bound up left side. Yeah. Just because that's how we bind. And fuck knows what it's like to be a hooker. Screw that. But their shoulders are fucked anyway, so you know.
Yeah, cool. And as we reach up to 15 minutes now, Alex has talked through one more mobility exercise for the shoulder, and I'll do mine first. I like the traditional IYWs, or they can be IYWTs and stuff like that. It's just, if you search for them on YouTube, again, it's completely weightless, these movements. If you try and keep your shoulders or your arms reached completely straight up rather than up and forward, as most people will do when they're pressing up over their head, then you're going to go from an I position into a Y position with your arms, and then a W. And then you can give a big MCA if you want to do it at the end, but that's not really what we're after.
Well, it may not be you're after, mate.
But it's important to really reach up and through and up, like above the crown of your head as opposed to in front of your head when we're doing
do it properly.
stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm going to go more of a stability exercise than a mobility exercise, which is kind of what we've touched on a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Turkish get up.
Yes, nice. That's actually fantastic.
Yeah, I actually Turkish get ups are a big part of my programming. Everyone does them just because it teaches not only to keep your shoulder in place and stable the whole time, which as rugby players we're looking for, because we need that shoulder to be able to retain a position. But it also teaches you to keep your brace on the whole time as well, because I don't know if you ever tried to do like a heavy Turkish get up and like a half body weight get up.
Yeah.
It's really fucking difficult if you're not braced. Like you lose your position, you fall over, drop a heavy weight on yourself.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great one.
So
I do that actually most as like part of a warm up.
Yeah, warm ups
later on in the session, but find different ways to incorporate these, especially if you've got shoulder injuries already. Like start light and gradually build them in as you go, as with anything. And that'll bring this episode to a wrap. Alex, anything extra you want to add?
No, I'm good, sweet mate.
Yeah, sweet. Look at that. I think we've kept this under 20 minutes. The time has got sort of conked out of sync, but whatever. Follow me at tj.strength, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat. Alex, are you on Snapchat yet?
No.
Right, so how are we following you?
Instagram's a good one, at Collision and Combats.
Sweet.
That's the only place you can find me.
Yeah, well, it's the most important place. All right. See ya.
Ciao.